Number 8. Spider kills possum. In 2016, scientists from the University of Michigan were conducting research in the Peruvian Amazon when they found a dinner plate-sized tarantula with a possum dangling from its fangs. The group were traveling through the jungle at midnight when they heard a strange scratching noise coming from some nearby leaves. They couldn't initially identify where the origin of the sound was, but then they turned on their flashlights. The massive tarantula was dragging the small creature along the forest floor by its neck. The team of scientists observed the spider and its prey for about 5 minutes and recorded some amazing footage of the encounter. But the spider preferred to enjoy his meal in peace, so it scuttled behind a tree root, hauling the possum behind. While it may seem extremely odd to witness a spider going after a warm-blooded animal instead of an insect, it's not all that rare. Yes, tarantulas do snack on things like beetles, crickets, and grasshoppers, but the bigger arachnids tend to feast on larger vertebrates like mice, birds, frogs, snakes, and bats. Even though this type of thing happens in nature all the time, it's uncommon for it to be observed by humans. Luckily, the scientists weren't injured during their encounter, but they did get some incredible footage. The group also documented their experience in an article they published in the Amphibian and Reptile Conservation Journal. Number 7. Cougar encounter. A man from Provo, Utah survived a 6-minute cougar attack as he was exercising in October 2020. Kyle Burgess was on a 2-mile run up Slate Canyon one Saturday morning when he saw 4 small animals sprinting around the trail ahead of him. He thought the creatures were bobcats at first, so he pulled his phone out to get a video of them. But just moments later, the animal's mother came into view. She was a full-grown cougar and apparently assumed Kyle was a threat to her young. The man knew he was in big trouble, and he suddenly felt a surge of adrenaline pumping through his body. He let out a steady stream of profanities as he tried to back away slowly, but the cougar tried to outsmart him by running into the trees, as if to flank him. The mama cougar reappeared in front of him and continued to walk towards him as he stepped backward. The 26-year-old was smart enough to know not to turn his back on the ferocious beast. He did everything he could think to do in order to drive the cougar away, but every time he reached down for a stone to throw at it, the giant cat lunged toward him with its claws flared. The 6-minute encounter seemed more like a lifetime, with the creature ready to pounce on him at any moment's notice. Luckily, Kyle managed to throw a stone at the cougar. It frightened her enough to make her flee back down the trail, and Kyle was finally out of harm's way. The man was somehow able to record the entire encounter on his phone, and he posted it to Instagram, where it received over 240,000 views. He escaped the attempted attack with his life, and he thinks the whole incident is a great reminder that we're not alone in nature. Number 6. Crow's revenge. Most people don't find crows all that scary, but Shiva Kiwat from Madhya Pradesh, India can't even step outside his home without being attacked by evil flying creatures. Apparently in 2016, Kiwat tried to rescue a crow chick that had gotten stuck in some iron netting, but he couldn't save its life. The birds have been blaming him for the chick's death ever since. Crows are surprisingly some of the most intelligent creatures on the planet. They are able to form long-lasting memories of specific events and can even recognize the faces of people who have wronged them. The birds are capable of intelligent thought processes, which were once thought to only exist in humans and a few other mammals. Crows are amazingly aware of the knowledge they possess and can even ponder, which gives them the ability to make new discoveries. Unfortunately for Kiwat, he's been made a target by these highly intelligent birds. The crows attack him every time he walks outside, diving at him from above like a fighter jet at full force. At first, he thought the assaults were random, and he didn't think the crows could be coordinating a plan to ruin his life. But after some time, and several other vicious encounters, he realized he was the only one in the entire village getting bombarded by birds. There isn't much Kiwat can do in this situation, and it seems like he may always be marked for aerial attacks. So now, he tends to carry a stick around everywhere he goes to shield himself from the vengeful birds. Number 5. Hungry polar bear. In 2013, a hiker from Maine was attacked by a polar bear as he slept in his tent in the northern Canadian wilderness. 49-year-old Matt Dyer was one of several hikers that set off on a wilderness adventure in summer 2013. They were dropped off at the edge of a magnificent inlet with high cliffs by a seaplane so they could witness the pristine landscape that's rarely seen by humans. The group of men explored the area for most of the day and then set up camp before dark. Dyer fell asleep in his tent that night, only to be woken up by a raging polar bear. He opened his eyes, and looming over him was the bear's massive forelegs, silhouetted by the bright glow of the moon. He cried out for help as the dangerous beast attacked him, but he was quickly silenced as the polar bear's teeth bit down on his head, piercing his skull and breaking his jaw. Dyer recalls the animal trying to get him out of the tent with his mouth as he held the canvas down with his hands. The bear eventually succeeded, and Dyer was dragged away. He remembers his face pressed up against the large mammal's chest, and he could see the bear's legs and belly as he was carried further and further from camp. Luckily, the animal never used its claws on the man, which would have surely proved fatal. Soon after the incident began, Dyer's companions came to the rescue. One of the men used his flare gun to scare the bear, and it subsequently dropped Dyer and ran away into the wilderness. One of the hikers even had medical training and tended to the man's wounds as they waited for a helicopter to airlift him to a hospital. At 8 a.m. that morning, he was taken to Montreal General, where he was treated for his injuries. Dyer miraculously survived the attack, and as he laid in his hospital bed recovering, he started planning his next wilderness adventure. Number 4. California Snake Pit. Just outside San Diego, a 16-year-old girl fell into a rattlesnake pit as she was looking for cell phone reception in 2015. Vera Oliphant was visiting her uncle in California when she decided to call her mother, but she couldn't find any cell phone service, so she climbed up a nearby hill to see if elevation would help. As she tried to make the call, she was startled by a rattling sound and instinctively ran backwards from the noise. Unfortunately, she stepped right into a deep pit, and to make matters worse, the hole was filled with rattlesnakes. There were 6 babies and 1 adult snake in the pit. They immediately started biting her. She was bitten at least 6 times, and her entire body went numb. With pure adrenaline and rattlesnake venom coursing through her veins, Vera managed to pull herself out of the hole. She made her way back to her uncle's house and was quickly taken to the emergency room at Sharp-Grossmont Hospital. Vera stayed in the intensive care unit for 4 days as medical professionals tried to save her life. She went into anaphylactic shock twice and lost consciousness at least 4 times after the snake bites. She was given a whopping 24 doses of antivenom to reverse the effects of the toxins and miraculously bounced back. When she was interviewed by UT San Diego, she remembered thinking she was going to die, but she survived, with an amazing story to tell. She said that the next time she can't find reception, she'll keep this experience in mind and learn from her past mistakes. Number 3. Panda Monium. Pandas seem like calm, cuddly creatures, but if they feel threatened, they can be very dangerous. In March 2014, a man nearly lost his leg after being attacked by a wild panda who wandered into his village in the Gansu province of China. A panda found its way in, and frightened locals tried to capture it, but the bear escaped and fled into Guanquanzi's land. The man was working at home when he noticed a group of people running towards him. As he looked closer, he saw a panda covered in mud running in front of the crowd. When Mr. Quanzi stepped outside, he accidentally put himself in the direct path of the panda. The already frightened bear saw this as a threat and sunk its powerful teeth into the man's leg. One of the locals quickly threw a coat over the panda, and it finally let go. The animal then ran into the wilderness and disappeared into the nearby mountains. Villagers noticed how injured the 60-year-old man was after the attack, and he was rushed to the Qingchuan County People's Hospital to get treated, but the medical facility was more than 6 miles away, and extensive damage had already been done to Mr. Quanzi's leg by the time he got there. The next day, he was forced to undergo a grueling 7-hour procedure to repair the broken bone and ruptured vein caused by the panda's teeth. He stayed at the hospital for a full 2 months as he recovered, receiving another 7 operations in that time. Unfortunately, his leg did not heal correctly, and by not using his muscles for so long, they shrank significantly. He's since lost the ability to walk on that leg, and in the future, he may have to amputate it. For his suffering, Mr. Kwanzi was awarded 520,000 yuan in compensation from 3 different parties. Number 2. Myrtle Beach Shark Attack. While a woman from Crafton, Pennsylvania enjoyed a summer vacation in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, she was attacked by a shark. Her 8-year-old grandson witnessed the assault in September 2022. The Pittsburgh Tribune-Review described the woman's wounds as gruesome. The shark had taken a chunk out of 55-year-old Karen Sight's arm as she was swimming near the beach. At first, she thought she was stung by a jellyfish because she felt a sharp pain, but as she looked down, the shark was still latching onto her arm. Sights recalled battling the animal away, and it eventually released her from its jaws before swimming into deeper waters. The woman's grandson was on the shore as the event took place, and he saw the whole thing. Luckily, an emergency responder happened to be at the beach that day and was able to treat her wounds quickly. Sights received extensive injuries to her hand and forearm, and she ended up needing surgery in order to have full movement of the limb. Luckily, she made a full recovery after the attack. Ironically, Sights remembers her grandkids expressing concerns about sharks shortly before arriving at Myrtle Beach. She had apparently told them not to be afraid of the animals and reassured them by saying the chances of getting bit by a shark are so slim. When she was bit, her grandson saw the shark poking out of the water, and he claimed it had a black tip. This description allowed the family to identify the animal specifically as a black-tip shark. This species tends to swim in more shallow waters and are also one of the only kinds of sharks that jump out of the water to latch onto prey. Thankfully, Sykes was able to escape the vicious animal encounter with her life, but the next time she goes to the beach with her grandchildren, she'll likely warn them about the dangers lurking in the water. Number 1. Vicious African Seal. A seal may not look dangerous, but in 2005, a 49-year-old woman's nose was completely bitten off in South Africa. Elsie Van Tonder noticed a seal on the beaches east of Cape Town that had been in the same spot for a few days. She and some friends decided to try and guide the creature back into the water, but she didn't think the seal was any threat to her, so she wasn't as careful as she should have been while approaching it. In the blink of an eye, the seal reacted and Elsie was attacked. According to marine biologist Herman Austhausen with the Department of Environmental Affairs, the young female seal bit Elsie in the face. She explained that many of these animals along South African shores have gotten used to humans, but if someone gets too close, they do still have a tendency to attack. Unfortunately for Elsie, the seal caused extensive damage. Her entire nose was bitten off, and she had to undergo surgery to repair the damage done by the animal. Her nose was recovered from the scene of the incident, but it couldn't be reattached to her face. Have you ever been attacked by an animal? Share your story with us in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!